16 past the hour this morning. Trump's New York hush money case is moving full steam ahead after Juan Merchan, the judge, denied the former president's last-ditch efforts to delay the trial and use presidential immunity as part of his defense. The judge saying Trump waited too long to raise the argument. The trial set to start in less than 2 weeks on the 15th of April. Joining us now, Jessica Roth, former federal prosecutor for the Southern District of New York. She is a professor at the Cardozo School of Law. Jessica, thanks for being with us. What does this mean for Trump's legal defense? It seems as though this trial is coming very quickly.
Yeah, I read this order as not only denying the motion for a delay, on this grounds that's a little bit difficult to describe, right? He's actually not directly asserting immunity with respect to the charges brought by the district attorney. He's actually saying presidential immunity precludes the introduction of certain forms of evidence that the district attorney wants to offer in order to prove the charges in this case. The judge denied that motion because he said it was untimely, and the tenor of the opinion, which is fairly brief, although it's thorough, is basically expressing the judge's lack of patience for the ongoing motions being brought by Trump's team to continually seek to delay the trial.
Yeah, I mean, there's an interesting quote there in this that the judge brings up. He says, and I'm going to read it, it says, it raises real questions about the sincerity and actual purpose of the motion. How do you see these 11th hour efforts to delay impacting how the judge treats this case going forward?
You're right. I mean, that quote that you just put up goes to the judge's lack of patience, and I think his losing faith in the good faith on the part of Trump's lawyers. And you saw that emerge most recently when they were before him on their application to adjourn the trial further in light of the recent discovery that had been turned over. And so the judge is, I think, continuing to express his skepticism about the claims being asserted by Trump's lawyers. So that's coming out in the opinion again today. And that's not going to bode well for them as they proceed into trial, because it's really important to have credibility, not only with the jury, but with the judge when you're making representations to the court. So I'd be concerned if I were on the defense team about the substance of this motion, denying the application, but also that language that expresses the judge's losing patience with the attorneys.
And turning now to the civil fraud case, New York State Police charged a 26-year-old man yesterday who they say sent threatening messages to New York Attorney General Letitia James and the judge overseeing the case. It comes just after Judge Merchan expanded Trump's gag order after he attacked the judge's daughter. What's, Jessica, the real life impact on these judges and lawyers in these cases?
So this is one of the most upsetting developments in the course of these cases are the threats to judges and court personnel who are in the judges' cases, presiding over the cases, or family members of those judges. It is extraordinary that people who are just doing their duty, either as judges or civil servants working for the court, or simply family members of those individuals, are being threatened for doing their job. I can't recall anything like this in terms of the history of the courts of having this level of threat. There have certainly been instances in the past where judges, their family members, have been injured or threatened, but it is reaching a level of frequency and intensity that should be gravely concerning to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think back on the judge that, her son was shot and killed at home, and so many threats. It's just something that is really a worrying kind of pattern in many ways that we're seeing. Jessica Roth, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.